MK Telco Sports welcomes you to our coverage of high school basketball, where the Versailles Tigers will take on the Varsity Raiders. Tonight's game is brought to you by the following sponsors: First National Bank, Keyhole Pizza, Precision Strip, Winners Meats, Link Health Systems, Superior Aluminum, and NK Telco. You're looking here live at the Players Cineville Gymnasium for the nightcap of this all-day event between backyard rivals Versailles and Versailles. My name is Brandon Silverman, alongside me Tanya Hammonds. And Tanya, the nightcap brings together a varsity boys game where we take a look at Versailles. They lost last night on a heartbreaker to Delta St. John's, kind of right in the middle of the pack here in the match.
Yeah, they are, Brandon. The Tigers, when you come to this game, you throw all records out of the door. This game, you can have a team that's on a roll like the Raiders are right now, and they tend to stumble. It's just there's just a lot of anticipation always for this game, no matter where your standings are for the year.
And I think you put a good point. You always throw the records out. There's years where Versailles has upset Versailles and vice versa. It's kind of like in Ohio State and Michigan. When you just throw everything out, and it's just another ball game. And we'll talk about it throughout the broadcast, with this being the last season of the Players Cineville Gymnasium here. But Versailles with a tough test here tonight. They did upset Versailles last year at Versailles. One of only the Raiders' 3 regular season losses was a big upset, so we know Versailles is capable of beating the Raiders. We look on the flip side for Versailles. Versailles still rolling. They're still 15-0, and really just firing on all cylinders.
They are playing some very good basketball. You go through your stints where you don't shoot well. When you don't shoot well, you look bad. So, when they start hitting some threes, anybody that made it out to Miami East last Saturday night and saw the Raiders put 25 up in the first quarter against a very good Miami East team, you never know who they can beat when they start shooting like that.
And take a look here, and we take a look at some numbers here for Versailles. Their key players: A.J. Griesdorn, a senior, averages 10.1 points a game. Drake Arns at 10.4 points a game. Chase Watson at 9.8 points a game. So Versailles has got some key players here. What's it going to take for the Tigers to pull off an upset here tonight?
They're going to have to slow this game down. The Raiders like to run, and if that is your game, if that is the Tigers' game to run, they're going to have to find a way to slow themselves down, because that's their key to beating the Raiders, is slow them down. They have to keep the Raiders off the boards. Felix Francis is averaging around 8, maybe even close to 9 rebounds per game. And the Raiders just spread the wealth on offense. They're scoring, 10 points across the board, average of 4 players. So the Tigers have got to keep their turnovers down. They've got to take good shots. They got to slow this game down.
And it should be a good one. We're going to kick it down to you. Let you be our PA here for a little bit. And we'll come back with our nation's anthem and starting lineups here next on your home for Versailles River basketball, MK Telco Sports.
When I graduated from Salina, I didn't know much about the job market here.
I knew I wanted to come back to the area. I went to Hometown Opportunity, where I was looking for a local job.
It really opened up my eyes to the employer market around here.
I was able to filter down my options, see what types of jobs were out there for me.
Linked me directly with those local companies.
And the last 6 months have been wonderful to feel that family environment again.
Some starting lineups here first for the visiting Versailles Tigers. A senior, number 2, averaging 12.1 points a game, E.J. Griesdorn. Sophomore, number 5, averaging 10.4 points a game, Drake Arns. 12, a 5'11" junior, averaging 9.8 points a game, Jace Watson. Number 21, a 5'11" junior, averaging 1.7 points a game, James Schmidtmeyer. Rounding out the lineup for the 24, 6'5" senior, Carson Heitkamp. The head by Keyhole Pizza in Newport, Ohio. First, Tanya taking a look for the Versailles Tigers.
Thanks, Brandon. The Tigers, they need to limit their runs without scoring. They need to pressure every time and try to get to the hole to score. They need to value the ball, and they need to have defensive rebounding against the length that the Raiders have.
Taking a look for the Russia Raiders and their keys.
The keys to the Raiders is to continue to run. They need to keep with the deflections that they get when they're pressing and putting pressure on their defense, and they have to rebound on each end.
Heitkamp and Francis will tip it off, and the nightcap is underway here at the Claire C. Naveau Gymnasium. Drake Arns with the basketball. Give it up to A.J. Griesdorn. Griesdorn will give it up over to Drake Arns. Expect long, drawn-out possessions by these Versailles Tigers to try to kind of slow down the Raider attack.
Very different than their girls.
Yes. As the Raiders took, well, it was an upset victory, 50-47 over the Versailles Tigers. Raiders have won 3 straight today after losing the first game today. Hayden Quinter gets the steal as he adds to his school record. And steals Francis up to Vince Borchers. All alone is Braylon Cardonier, and Braylon Cardonier gets the scoring started on the First National Bank first scoreboard. Raiders not come out with full court pressure, but here comes that run and jump immediately. Watchering on the inside will kick it out. Carson Heitkamp, his 3 from the corner, no good. Weak side rebound down to James Schmidtmeyer. Schmidtmeyer just throws it away. It hit off the baseline before it even got back in. Let's see if they changed the call. I think they changed the call back. I read the official's lips and said he pointed the wrong way. Sales will keep possession here. There's the ball over to Carson Heitkamp. Heitkamp back over to Griesdorn. Griesdorn attacks downhill, and Felix Francis says, get that out of here.
Literally, I think that's what he said.
Yeah. He's really done a nice job coming defensively. It's kind of, some people say, the dark horse for the Shelby County League Player of the Year. And Francis with another swat. Here comes Braylon Cardonier. Quinter all alone. You haven't seen him take many threes this year. He's passed up the 3 for drives like that. And Hayden Quinter scores, gets the Raiders up 4-0 on the First National Bank first scoreboard. Tigers lost a heartbreaker last night at the buzzer to a very good Delta St. John's team who's leading the MAC right now. Drake Arns takes the short jump shot. It's tipped around, and it's rebounded by the Raiders. Raiders off to a hot start here as Francis in the lane is fouled, and it goes up. But hot starts, we saw a hot start in the girls' game for Versailles, where Versailles put Russia in an 8-0 hole right away. And then we saw the Raiders fight back.
That was it was gritty. Like they dug down, played hard, got even, went up a little bit, maintained, then it kind of went back and forth a little bit, and down the stretch, they did a fabulous job to pull out that win. And, you know, thank heavens people can't see us, what we're doing, because we're going just as crazy as everybody else does. You know, and that's a great win for those Raiders.
Number 3, Ethan Wilker in the lineup. Wilker, a sophomore, averaging 4.1 points a game. Francis at the line, looking to extend this Raider lead with 6:04 to go in the first quarter. And Francis has a perfect trip to the line, 2 for 2. Raiders up ahead, 6-0 with 2 minutes gone in the contest on the First National Bank first scoreboard. Here comes Drake Arns. Coach Travis Slink shouts out the instructions for his team in his 8th season. And his family's familiar around here. His sister is a first grade teacher here and a former volleyball coach here. Very well known
we
around
coached
here.
together, and you know that family has a lot of knowledge of sports, and they're a lot of fun to be around. And you know Travis does a great job at Versailles and continuing to try to build this program. You know they've had some fabulous players the last couple of years, standout players. Not seeing that right now, but you know he continues to grow that program. I believe he is a teacher there, so you know he's in the system and keep working hard on the Tiger ball.
Raiders bringing in Jackson Grosjean and Benjamin York. Drake Arns on the inside to A.J. Griesdorn. There's a push. Count it. And one for A.J. Griesdorn. And he'll head to the line for a chance to go old-fashioned three-point play. Griesdorn at the line. Chance to cut in the deficit as it looks like it's neon night in the Raiders student section, as you can see across on our First National Bank First scoreboard. It is a 30-second timeout by Coach Travis Link. All timeouts brought to you by our sponsors at Precision Strip. Our other sponsors are Carriage Works, Chotex LLC, Cy Schruderman, Beckman Supply, Elmet Assisted Care, Hometown Opportunity, Gilsman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Lincoln Electric, the Munster Bank, Unoxy Supply, SecureCom, Buds Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Crown Equipment, Shelby County Veteran Services, and St. Henry Bank of WCSM Radio. The scoreboard sponsors the First National Bank, Keys of the Game, Keyhole Pizza, timeout sponsor Precision Strip, play of the game which will select from Marushi's, brought to you by Nikkei Tokyo. Minute post-game stats are brought to you by Grand Lake Health Systems. Marushi Live View sponsor, as you can see right on your screen wherever you are watching, is the Superior Aluminum. So 6-3 here, and kind of an interesting timeout by Coach Schwenk to take one of those early like that.
Yeah, they cut into the lead by half right there. You know, wonder if he's wanting to change defense up a little bit because, you know, the Raiders changed their personnel. And, you know, the number 6 and number 7 player, which totally aren't a 6 and 7 player, you know, were their leading scorers the other night against Miami East. So you tend to have, you know, maybe switching things up this way, or we'll see.
Shot no good. In transition, Watchern for the tie. Got it to go. From the left wing, Chase Watchern ties the game up at 6. And shot no good. Rebound down to Versailles. Starting that 6-0 hole there. Versailles gets the game tied back up. Watchern drives on the inside, and York and Felix Francis tandem block that shot. Here in transition, here's Cordonier, the 3, and he buries it from the right corner, right in front of the elementary student section.
You know, if you saw Hayden Quinter there dribbling the ball up the floor, you know, he tried to get into his defense a little bit, and those are really nice, you know, athletic basketball plays that some of these kids make these days, you know, to draw a foul.
Shot no good. Tipped around. Braden Monin kicks it over to Braylon Cordonier. Up ahead, Raiders work quickly, can't finish on the inside. York and the Tigers got away, get a block there. Good defensive stand for Versailles.
Good defense by the Tigers.
A missed opportunity for the Raiders. Like we said, this is a rivalry game. So the Raiders have the largest win total of anyone according to the Martin RPI in Division 4, as Arns will turn it over. But according to Martin RPI, who puts out a lot of those interesting stats, the Raiders have the largest, you know, win total. They've only had 2 games that have been within 10. That was opening night against Jackson and that game against Botkins, where Botkins shot light out and usually still won by 5.
Right.
So
the only bad thing about that rating system is they don't take this into consideration. It can't take a community against community this close. You know, unlike a Army-Minster game, those, you know, I don't care what anybody says, those are big games because most, you know, you have a lot of family. They can't put that into those RPIs.
Borcher spins around, gives it. York is going to fire right from the left corner, and he buries a 3, and the Raiders doubling up the Tigers 12-6.
And I'm sure Benjamin York's going to stand down in that corner, and that's where he wants to shoot and make that 3 every time. Right in front of that Versailles student section.
Here comes Arns attacking, and there's going to be a late foul. And it's going to bring Griesdorn to the line. And Versailles classically every year has that play on of the Rushi Frogs, as we see some Kermits here tonight in the student section from Versailles. A little fun.
Nothing new.
A little fun. You know,
but there's more than I've ever seen. Like, usually you see the one, and I see him down there. He's got the suit on with the Kermit mask and the orange gloves. But I've seen a couple more in there.
A little classic fun, and you gotta love to see it.
Absolutely.
And as Felix Francis out the lineup. Did he pick up his second foul?
I don't know.
Caden Quinter back in. Braylon Cordonier come back in. If Griesdorn can hit this shot. And he cannot. Long rebound down to Greenstorm. And Quinter with another steal.
You know, the Tigers are controlling the boards right now.
Jackson Grogin, three-pointer, buried it. And like Craig Bissinger said the other week, he was shooting 58% from three at one point.
Jackson has stepped up and hit some huge shots for the Raiders. You know, and you can see the high school students joining in tonight when you see a three and they're falling backwards like the elementary kids do.
And that's one thing, when we lose kind of the Claire Cedar Gymnasium, one of the unique features, you have the one student section on the other end, another student section on the other end. That's something unique that it's going to be one of the things that's going to be missed about this gym.
My understanding is the elementary will be on the stage. So they'll still have their area. The high school will still have their area. But, you know, it's a great home court advantage that these Raiders have. And, you know, junior Braylon Cadonier made the comment, I just want to play in here. I don't want to go over there. He wants to stay here and finish out here. But it'll be something new. It'll be exciting, and people are going to want to come there, and we can't wait to host them.
And I think, as Coach Dave Mine said, this will be one of the best junior high gyms in the area.
Absolutely. This and Fort Army.
Ball inbounded over to Braylon Cardonier, gets it right back to Quinter. Goes up against Greenstorm. His shot's no good as Greenstorm clears the boards. Here comes Drake Arms. A lot of potential here for Drake as there's a foul behind on Hayden Quinter. That'll be his first, team's third. And
I think Coach Cardonier was wanting the ball to go tip back. We've seen that play before. It's just a tip back over to Hayden, back in, you know, stepping back into the court. He was wide open right away.
Tigers stacked a couple players. And the Raiders, you know, with the pressure and the way they run, like we always say every broadcast, it's not in the first quarter it's going to come and affect you. But the second and third and fourth quarter, that's what's going to come get you. And he stepped on the line. Did number 3, Ethan Wilker. And we'll turn it right back over to the Raiders. Jackson Grogin will lock it up for Rushi. As Tigers going to drop back in the zone. Interesting decision here. I remember Luke Botkins, Rushi was playing Anna, and Anna went into the zone, and Rushi tore that apart. Anna dropped back to man-to-man. Botkins came out in zone, and I remember talking to someone that says, didn't Botkins watch the Anna film?
No,
Throw him back in the zone.
And we came out, I think we came on that broadcast thinking Anna was going to drop into a zone. I mean, more people should until the Raiders can break it. I'd go about 2 possessions, 2 or 3, and then get out of it because physically you can't match up.
Here comes Cardonier, straddles that baseline.
What the devil was that?
In the corner to Grogin, going up, and Jackson Grogin to go to the line. Jackson didn't do much against Houston on Tuesday. They had a quiet night. Obviously, the Raiders, you know, easily beat the Wildcats. But before we were talking about that, I was talking with my partner that night, Zachary Bell, about how Jackson had before that 3 games where he's in double figures. Jackson
is, you know, he on a lot of teams could probably start. He is a good, you know, we talked about Benjamin York being in the starting lineup at one point. My feeling is they're better off the bench. They don't have, and what it is, I don't know. But they don't have that pressure. They don't have anything. They just step up and do their job. And, you know, that 7 really could be a starting 5 here or anywhere.
Grogin nails the first free throw. James Schmidtmeyer in for Versailles. Felix Francis back in for Rushi as Jackson Grogin cans both of those. Braden Monin back in. Felix Francis does have 1 foul, so no foul trouble has crept up yet for the Raiders. Jackson Grogin and Braylon Cardonier both have 5 to lead the Raiders so far. They lead 17-7 on that First National Bank Think First scoreboard. Ball in the corner, 3-pointer no good. Run out. Benjamin York tried to hit it up to A.J. Greenstorm. Goes up ahead. Felix Francis dribbles over to Quinter, over to Monin, and there's a late foul on James Schmidtmeyer, who comes in. And it's going to be the 4th foul on the Tigers. Coming in here in a little bit for Versailles will be Gabe White. Jackson Grogin races the scores table for Rushi. And Monin cans the first free throw calmly. Jackson Grogine back in, and Gabe White now in for the Tigers. Coach Spencer Cardonner at 95 and 23 in his career, so you're going to see at some point Coach Cardonner probably going to hit that 100 win total here.
And that'll be celebrated by people, and we'll talk about it, but he really doesn't. That doesn't, he's okay forgetting about those things. He just comes out here and coaches a team to its best of his ability, and he listens to his staff, and they all talk about it. It's not a one-man show.
And Felix Francis with the block. Borchers up ahead. Borchers being trapped by a couple Tigers, and a lucky fan, J.C. Grogine, catches the ball in the first row, saving Henry Cardonner.
That was quick hands.
We'll trade turnover there on the Raiders, and White will inbound it sideline out of bounds up over to Drake Arns. Arns brings the basketball up across the timeline. Arns looking to go to the left side to A.J. Greenstone. To Gabe White. White on the right side, back to Arns. Arns to Watrin. Watrin going to the basket, shot in and out. And the quarter has concluded. It's 18-7. Russia ahead of Versailles. From the First National Bank People's Scoreboard. We'll be back after word from our sponsor on the home for Russia basketball. KTOK Sports.
CarriageWorks has expanded and now can hold up to 25 cars in our service bay. CarriageWorks thrives on customer satisfaction. We accomplish that by providing top-of-the-line technology. CarriageWorks now uses a laser beam system to measure down to the millimeter of factory specs to better service you and get you back on the road. CarriageWorks has a brand new top-of-the-line paint booth that uses waterborne paint. There's no job too big or too small for CarriageWorks. We're certified collision specialists. Come in and see us today.
One quarter in the books here at the Claire Steenvo Gymnasium. Our score, Russia 18, Versailles 7, Tanya.
It's been a fast-paced game just like we anticipated. The Tigers are doing a good job of spreading their offense out, trying not to get trapped in a corner or, keeping that pressure under control. But, the Raiders have done a fantastic job in that first quarter, staying out of foul trouble, getting some pressure and getting to the basket.
Jackson Grogine with the basketball out front, goes the right side to Baron Cardonner. Over the top to Braden Monin, thought about a three. Cardonner over to Grogine, thought about a step back three. Grogine will then step into one, in and out. Francis with the one hand, he just threw it up there. What a play by Felix Francis, and Raiders lead out to 13.
I don't know how much control you have over that. If that's just thank you for going in type basket.
Griesdorn with it, over to Watrin at the volleyball line. Back over to Griesdorn. Griesdorn driving, and he lost the basketball. He's either that or he traveled, so call that a wash. And
right there,
turnover.
Braylon Cardonner did a good job of keeping him, maintaining him, and keeping him out of the paint.
Comes Jackson Grogine across the timeline. Grogine to the right side to Felix Francis. And this packed house, we'll call it sold out here tonight as Braden Monin steps into a three and buries it from the left wing. Braden Monin gets the crowd going, and it's a 16-point lead for Russia. Griesdorn over to the left side to Gabe White. Back over to Jace Watrin. Over to Griesdorn. Heitkamp. His short jumper is good. We got a timeout by Coach Travis Swank. We'll take it with him. 6:31 to go here in the second quarter. Russia 23, Versailles 9. You're watching boys high school basketball on KTOK Sports. 23-9 our score here. Versailles ahead of Versailles. Here on the First National Bank Think First scoreboard as Hayden Quinter trying to back his way down in the lane. Out the precision strip timeout. And Cover and Tanya Hammond's giving you the action here tonight. Braylon Cardano, shot falling away, no good. Ripped back, and there's a jump ball. Arrow favors the Tigers. Versailles with the basketball in the nightcap of tonight. We've played 4 games here before. Versailles took the freshman game. Both big games in the varsity game. Girls game taken by the Raiders. So 1 advantage. We've had this type of stuff before at Versailles as well, as Arns will take the shot, or sorry, Watson will take the shot.
You know, there was a time we've had it scheduled here before. However, it got snowed out, different things like that. But they've tried to do this event before here. But this has been a fun event, you know, especially for us if you come and go. And, you know, the JV boys played exceptional today. They played a great game against a really good Versailles. That was Versailles' first loss. Is that accurate?
I don't know.
That's what I was told. So, you know, if it was, they handed them their first loss. And, you know, the varsity girls going in the underdog played fantastic. You know, they're really starting to get their tread going into the tournament play.
23-9. Score. Tigers get it in. Watrin through the defense. Chase Watrin scores for Versailles. He's got team high with 5. As Felix Francis will walk it up slowly.
You know, that's what this team is. He just brings the ball up the floor.
Monin with the basketball out the corner on the left wing. Cross-court pass. Cardano all alone. Three-pointer. Buried it. 5 3-pointers for the Raiders in this first half. And Braylon Cardano has hit 2. And Drake Arns up ahead, and Felix Francis is just waiting there, and Braylon Cardano, and they team up for a block.
They both wanted to swat it away.
Benjamin York on the other corner, got it! That's 6 triples by the Raiders this first half. Raider Nation on their feet. Precision strip timeout called. 5:02 in the first half. Raiders in control, 29-11 over Versailles in the First National Bank Think First scoreboard. We'll be back after a word from our sponsor on your home for Rush River Basketball and K Tokyo Sports.
At First National Bank, we are working hard to make your life a little easier. With products like Card Valet, an app allowing you to control your cards with real-time notifications, transaction restrictions, and spending limits. The ability to access your money through 55,000 all-point ATMs across the country, surcharge-free. Live customer support when you need it, and online and mobile banking, allowing you to gain access to your financial information wherever and whenever you like. First National Bank, making your life a little easier.
Out the precision strip timeout. There's a variety of ways we can talk about. There's not enough superlatives we can talk about this Raiders team. A variety of ways they can beat you. Tonight it's the 3 ball. 6 threes by Rushi. They have 2 from Braylon Cardano, 2 from Benjamin York, and 1 apiece from Braden Monin and Jackson Grogan Timer.
As you saw earlier in the season, that Jackson game, that St. Henry game, they were struggling from the outside. So that's why we saw some zone happening by some teams. And now they're firing on all cylinders, and teams can't play that. So now they got to play a man to try to, you know, get back in the ball game. And the Raiders are just right now too athletic for some teams.
And Benjamin York with a little bit of a heat check there for the Raiders, and he misses the 3 off the iron. Ball handed off to Jace Watrin. Watrin over to Arns. Arns goes to the left side. Arns trying to back down. On the right side over to Jace Watson. Watson stops in the lane. His shot's no good. Rebound down to Braden Monin.
The biggest advantage the Raiders have, if you notice there, Benjamin York could stay off just a hair, and when the kid started to drive to the basket, you know, he still had that length of his arm to be able to get it up and control and contest his shot.
Hayden Quinter skies to the basket. I talked to Hayden a little bit the other night after the Houston game. I said, Hayden, it seems like you have these possessions in the game. You have these 3-4 minutes in the game where I'm going to score 8-10 points, and then someone else has 8-10 points. And I talked with Vince Borchers about that too, and he said the same thing as there's a player control foul on A.J. Garisdorn. But, you know, that's the fun about this team. There's one point in the game where Zachary Bell and I noticed 11, 12, and 13, the 3 seniors on this roster, Felix Francis, Hayden Quinter, Ray Manin, all with 10 points at one point in the game. Just defines the balance and the hard work that this team's putting together.
They make this team go. Like, if they go, everybody else goes. You know, they are the leaders of the team. It is a team, but they're the leaders and they control things.
Last time the Raiders were 16-0, which they're trying to go tonight, was 2007. And they lost in Piqua that year. So even with, you know, the Raiders with the high expectations have to know about, you know, that everyone's going to have their best target out for them. They got to bring their ball game. You know, they got to bring their best ball here every night.
You know, they talk a lot about game to game. Game to game. Every interview you read, it's game to game. They don't think about the next game. And I think they preach it so much that that truly is what they believe.
And you see Braylon Cardona there, right there, go, that's on me. He took that 3.
That
instead of maybe
was on him.
Pushing the possession there.
Yep.
As Vince Borchers returns to the lineup. And this might be more, Vince Borchers hasn't scored yet, hasn't done much. Might see some of the time, maybe before half or maybe the second half, where you might see Vince Borchers take over to 5, 7, 8 points. You might see something like that.
You see 4, 4, 4, 6. You know, that's what a true team is all about. And they're fortunate right now that they have that.
Barnes with the basketball. Up over the watch room. And they lose the basketball. Slipped on the floor. York in the lane. His shot's up, and there's a foul. As Benjamin York will go to the line for 2 free throws. That foul will go on Carson Heitkamp.
And his back fouled him. Like, he had his back turned. But he was in a moving situation. I mean, that was a foul.
Yeah. Let's see here tonight, Shelby County Commissioner Stan Evans is in the building. You're watching the Raiders tonight as York misses the first free throw.
You know, these officials aren't typical officials. The one on the, I would say, the top of your screen right now, I have seen before. The other 2, I don't remember seeing before. So, you know, Stan Evans will come out and watch officials to see if he wants them in our league. You know, he can control that some. And we get officials from, I don't know if people understand this, we get them from all over the state of Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
They'll travel in packs. So this pack may have come up for them, say, Athens. They'll do a game on Friday night. They'll spend the night in a hotel. They'll do a girls' game on Saturday afternoon, turn around and do a boys' game on Saturday night, and then they'll head home.
I was looking last night, I did the Sydney game, and they were nice enough to give me, as York gets the ball pushed up in the corner. They turn right back over. And there'll be a 30-second timeout.
Woo!
But it had where all these guys were coming over from. They were driving up the city from Dayton, Conover, all these areas, nearly Cincinnati. They only get paid $90 a game, you know. But
when you're coming this way, you might as well make it worth it. So when they travel in packs, you see a group of 3 more together than not. You know, they'll come, stay, have dinner, make their money, and go home. And they're doing a good job. They get hollered at, but this game tends to be high anxiety no matter what the score, what's going on.
NK Telco Sports and its sponsors are pleased to bring you replays of boys high school basketball action here on NK Telco Channel 3 and HD on 503. You can catch the replays of this game on Channel 156, January 30th at 7 p.m. and also on Channel 3 or HD on 503, February 13th at 8 p.m. and February 15th at 8 p.m. You can catch the game actually also on Channel 156, January 30th at 7:30 p.m. You can also watch more games live via pay-per-view through nktelco.com/sports and more games on demand through YouTube, Facebook, and nktelco.com/sports. 2 more Raider boys home games after this, and then the girls, I believe, have 3 more. So only 5 more games left to be played in this gym as we keep counting down them. We talk about it every broadcast.
Make me sad, Brandon.
But the 410th varsity game played here in this gym.
Boys.
Yep, boys. Yep. 410th varsity boys game played here. Greystone to the basket. Nice move by AJ Greystone.
Very nice move.
As the Tigers get back within 19. AJ up to 6 points. And a steal there near at midcourt. Rushi now out of sorts. Now it's got a 3-on-2 break. Monin drives the baseline and he stepped out.
Unfortunately, Cardonier just called a timeout to stop what just happened there, and then turn around, the same thing happens again.
Hayden Quinter will check back in for the Raiders.
Coach Cardonier's wanting an explanation about something.
It might have been Braden Monin's baseline drive, why there was not a block foul called there maybe, but
he's not getting one. They're not giving him one.
Here comes the trap here by the Raiders. And got a trap and it'll be a turnover. The Raiders will take over. Borchers will, I really thought about a sub and changed his mind. Coach Brad Francis does a lot of the subbing.
Yes, he does.
How many basketball coaches do you see do that, you know, where the head coach just kind of coaches and doesn't worry about that subbing?
Well, that comes when you trust each other. And I think there's probably more than you think that do it.
Yeah.
You know, when Coach Cardonier was under Coach Borchers, he was the subbing director. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah. It's kind of like football where you have a play caller, you know, when you're not the head coach, but you have a play caller. Someone else does it. Francis on the inside finishes.
You know, they're fortunate that they have that 6 and 7 player that they can kind of just swing them in and out, and it doesn't make a difference. You know, that's the fortunate part, and that comes with some trust too. You don't have to be, your personnel can be what it is. You're subbing for fouls, you're subbing for tiredness, things like that, or a mismatch. You know, when in the girls' game when Wagner and Swartz were maybe not in there together, it was okay to give Pulling a break at that point. So those are things you look for as well.
First free throw missed there. There's 4 fouls called by these officials on Versailles this quarter. Our officials are Rodney Nichols, Jason Purcell, and Brian Throckmorton here tonight, as Vince Borchers will check back in the lineup as Francis cans that free throw. 5 now for Felix. Raiders lead by 20. 35 seconds until halftime. Here comes the run and jump of the Raiders. Greystone in the corner. Kicks it out, Arns. Arns at the top of the key. Arns looking for a teammate. Goes over to the left side to Watchram. Watchram brings it back around. Watchram in the corner. Over to Drake Arns, and his shot altered there by the Raider defense. Raiders working it up ahead. Monin to the rack, scores. Nice layup, nice finger roll by Braden Monin.
You know, there was a lot of traffic there, and we've seen twice now where you would see Braden Monin throw it off the backboard to Felix Francis. Well, there was a lot more traffic there than just them, so you know, he made a good decision just to lay it up and score. Even though it would have been fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. 0.7 of a second. Throw it up, and it'll just be caught by Greystone. 35-13, Rushi leads Versailles at halftime. We'll step aside, come back with the first half stats recap and the second half of action here next on NK. It's Go Sports.
Hi, I'm Mallory. My grandpa's been making the world's worst pizza for 30 years. That doesn't look like the world's worst pizza. Grandpa, I know why they call you Chunky Bob. It's because you use chunky ingredients on your pizza.
Of course, it's not because I'm fat.
Grandpa, this is the world's best pizza. Keyhole Pizza, come check Grandpa out.
Dine in or carry out.
Kogi Plumbing and Heating is your Bryant Factory authorized dealer. We have brought the best of comfort, control, and plumbing services to the St. Mary's area for over 60 years. We have been Reader's Choice winners for the last 4 years running and excel at providing our customers with efficient and reliable heating and air conditioning, as well as responsive service when a plumbing emergency arises. We insist that the products we install in our customers' homes and businesses offer the same performance and value that we expect ourselves. Call today for your next plumbing and heating or air conditioning needs. Bryant, whatever it takes.
And back here, halftime on NK Toko Sports. Russia ahead of Versailles 35-13. Let's take a look at our first half numbers. Brought to you by our sponsors at Grand Lake Health Systems. And with those numbers, Tanya Hammonds.
Thanks, Brandon. Unofficially, I have the Tigers with 9 rebounds and 7 turnovers, and the Raiders with 9 rebounds and just 4 turnovers. So they're maintaining, getting the ball up the floor with a little mistakes.
Russia led 19-7 after one quarter, 35-13 here at half. Russia's nailed 6 3-pointers in the first half as well.
They've shot the ball very well. They're getting their feet set. They're moving the ball well, and they're just, when they can get to the hole, they're getting to the hole. You know, Versailles is bringing some backside help to try to stop that, and they're dishing it out if they need to.
Starting with the ball, the second half, I believe, will be the Tigers. They start in front of this sold-out crowd here at the Claire C. DeVoe Gymnasium.
Brandon, I was thinking, we have the Keyhole player of the game. Maybe we should get Keyhole to deliver some pizza. They get one and we get one.
Well, and you always see the commercial that we play at times out of the broadcast. So it says, his granddaughter says, and it says, oh, I get why they call it Chunky Bob's Pizza. It's because you got chunky ingredients on your pizza. Says, yeah, it's not because I'm fat.
In pure Bob Mesher fashion.
Versailles starts with the ball. There's a tip. Goes out here. A lot of media covering this game here tonight as well. WTGR, of course, always covers Versailles basketball, 97.5, and our friend Scott Ward. We're there, and Scores broadcast here covering tonight. And this is, we cover all Russia home games here on NK Toko.
When we move into the new facility, unnamed facility that we're aware of, you know, hopefully we've got enough room to contain all the press, because, you know, this Raider team is going to be good for some years to come, and everybody wants to be here. You know, people want to sponsor them, people want to listen to them.
I can't put the basketball to Griesdorn, left side. Looking around, Schmidtmeyer to Arns. Long possession here for Versailles. Start the second half. They've had a minute with the ball. That's Griesdorn. With the Arns. So trying to get a steal. In the corner to Heitkamp. He shot fakes. And now goes for the shot and gets partially blocked. Sporcher's up. Vince Sporcher's going to have to stay and block shots for a season here. I don't know if he'll get it, but he'll be high up in there. Wish we did the programs like we used to with all the stats.
I agree.
The shot
very nice.
Up there is good by Felix Francis. He's up to 7 now. Jake Arns with the basketball. Arns brings it up the floor, goes behind the back. Arns goes to the right side to Carson Heitkamp. Took over to H.A. Griesdorn, who walked. And he pitter-pattered with some steps.
In the last possession, he was close to shuffling those feet as well. So, you know, you get tied up with them containing you, not be able to get an edge to get around them and create some turnovers.
Hayden Quinter walks the basketball up the floor. 6 minutes to go in the third. Quinter whips it over to Braylon Cardagna. Cardagna does a shot fake on the inside, and it's good. Braylon Cardagna goes to the basket, and the Raiders lead by 26. Shot good by Carson Heitkamp on the inside. Here comes Vince Borchers looking to attack downhill. It's up to Hayden Quinter. Quinter top to Keith. Quinter looks to drive off balance. And Hayden Quinter, so quick. It's got a good first step. He's up to 6 points. There's a foul going up on Sprinkle against Felix Francis. (41-15) our score. And on that First National Bank Feet First scoreboard. Scoring in line will be the lefty Drake Arns, averaging 10.4 points a game. Going to line up Benjamin York and Jackson Grochin. York will be back in action. They'll be on the road at the Launch Pad Friday night against Anna. It'll be a big game. I mean, really, still try to keep pace in the league. You know, Botkins is still prowling around 1 game out. You know, Raiders can't slip up.
No. You know, Anna can give you fits sometimes. And if the Raiders don't shoot well, like they started off the season, it could affect it. Tremendous. That'll be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be trucking my way back from Knoxville, Tennessee to get you here in time to watch the game.
There's a foul away from the ball and James Schmidtmeyer. Schmidtmeyer, a strong guy. Got some muscles on him.
Yes.
Jackson Grochin brings the ball up the floor for Rushi. Screen from Quinter. Quinter rolls off that screen, gets the ball, looks to face up for a 3, but he moved his pivot foot.
Quinter doesn't like to do the pick and roll. He likes to pick and kind of like flare or float out, because then he wants to be able to get to the basket on his terms with the ball.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you see that out of him. And take a look at the Raiders' remaining schedule. At Anna, at Ansonia, and they'll travel to the hangar in Fairlawn to make up a game there. And then you end with you got Botkins. A week later, you got Laramie against Marion. Take a look at that. There's 3 games I really think will still are challenge on the Raiders' schedule. People have talked about them possibly going 22-0. Rushi's never had an undefeated regular season. Rushi only has, 3 wins against Versailles since 2007.
And everybody says, you want to lose before you go in the tournament. Yes and no. Sometimes it doesn't prove anything. They have to travel to Anna, travel to Ansonia, travel to Marion Local. Marion Local is a hard place to play. They got to go up against some extreme, the Raiders are tall, but Marion's taller. You got Jack Knapke at 6'8".
6'9".
6'9", the recent Ohio State track and field commit. So that'll be a real big test.
You can work with the cam jump shot and cracks the box score. Not only that, they have a 6'8" Austin Niekamp
Absolutely.
as well. So a size test that the Raiders have not faced yet. Shot in and out. Vince Borchers will head along.
Ansonia coming out of the Tri-County Conference?
No, they're Western in the Ohio Athletic Conference.
They're in the WOAC. They're staying at 4-11 right now, so shouldn't be a test, but you never know.
And as this Raider motto has been, 1 game at a time, has been the motto for Rushi.
We're the ones that talk about the other games.
Yeah, exactly.
Not them.
And that's our job.
That's
our job as media, is to look ahead and to kind of not necessarily stir the pot. We're not people that are gossiping or anything. We're just see it how we see it through our lens. This isn't ESPN or anything. Just high school basketball.
We're better.
Yeah, exactly.
We're better, Brandon.
Exactly. This isn't, we do this because we love this, and we love high school sports. We love supporting our communities and our schools. And that's the great thing about really what, I've been here 6 years at NK Telco, and that's what I love the best is all those guys, we work with, whether it's been you or Jeff Hinchin or Dave Homesteader or Dave Knapke, Greg Burning, so on and so forth. Many people, and Ron Cruzzi, God rest his soul. People who love people just announcing for their schools or announcing sports and promoting high school athletics. So many big games over 6 years, and we're just glad that you guys can join us here on NK Telco Sports. And
COVID changed the outlook of this and allowed some of our fans to stay home and enjoy us, listen to us from the comforts of their home. And I agree. I enjoy working with other people, you know, everybody, because I get to hear their different opinions and, you know, what they think about the game. And it's a great game. And, you know, all the games we call volleyball, basketball, you call some football and maybe some soccer?
Yeah, a little bit.
You call some soccer?
A few, sprinkled in there.
Okay. So, you know, we just love sports, and we hope you enjoy listening to us. And if there's anything we can do to make it better, just let us know. See, we're going to get a little chippy yet, Brandon. This
in a rivalry game, too, you know, game's kind of in Rush's hand there as Benjamin York gets the nice out-of-bounds play. You don't want anything stupid to happen. You know, any punches or any jabs.
I want to see a dunk happen.
We had none the other night against Houston, but 4 in the JV contest. White to the basket. His shot's not good, but he's fouled. This quarter's kind of slowed down to a crawl a little bit.
Well, and I think the officials are trying to keep control of this to make sure it doesn't get out of control. You know, we're at 6 fouls total for the half or this quarter. So we'll see. They want it to be a clean game. Make sure everybody's safe and good hard foul battle.
White's free throws are good. So Gabe White surpasses his 1.7 game average. And we're still lead by 25. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter on the First National Bank first scoreboard. Jackson Grogine attacks downhill and he's fouled by Ethan Wilker. Socked on the wrist. And Jackson Grogine will head to the line. And like I said, Jackson, 2 points against Houston Tuesday. And you know you're going to have games like that where this team is so balanced where you're not going to score at all. But like I said, Jackson had 3 games in a row where he was in double figures.
And he makes a great contribution to this team. And he fires everybody up when he hits a 3.
Yeah. And you could see the potential last year of him on the junior varsity squad. And he had a lot of threes on that JV squad. But at one point this season was averaging 58% from three-point range. That's a crazy average as he heads out after those 2 free throws. Out York and Grogine to the bench. Francis and Borchers back in. And the thing is, the JV boys played earlier, so you think those guys that usually play, they, you know, like Seb Schultze and Dominic Francis would be the 8th, 9th guy. They're just still a little sore from their game, too.
Yeah. I actually did speak to Dominic when I went down.
Oh, my. Behind the back. Laid it in, finger roll, and there is another basket anyway.
That's okay. No, he's got an injury that he's just going to sit out and relax tonight. He said it, but it was so loud I couldn't understand what he was telling me. But he is not dressed on the varsity, not on the roster tonight.
And a new shot count on the floor against the Tigers. That'll be their 15th foul anyway. So Lee Vince will head to the line. We'll wait on the substitution here. Been a great crowd on hand, and it's not too many open seats. It's been a great day here. You know, with the soup fundraiser and everything. Usually the world famous peanut butter pies. I don't know what they served all back in the 90s, but I remember those peanut butter pies.
Those are what they serve.
Fantastic.
They haven't changed. And I tried to make them myself once, and they were awful. They were dry. I had to throw them out. So I bought a plate full today. Nothing better than a peanut butter bar.
I paid $1 for it. One of the Raiders players, Benjamin York, said, "You paid $1 for that?" I said, "I don't go to school here anymore." I said, "I'll definitely pay $1 for it."
I pay, like, they gave me a container. I buy $10 worth. It's worth it. And it's the people our age that don't go to school that do purchase them.
Exactly. 30-point lead here for Russia on that First National Bank first scoreboard. Grease one on the left side. We'll go over to White. White to Drake Arns. Arns trying to get a jab step on the inside. And it goes
nice
up
move.
Through the contact. Drake Arns scores. He's a nice player. I've been hearing a lot of things about Drake, and There's a player control foul on Rushi. It's 3 fouls now on Felix Francis. Zeb Schultz will now come in the lineup. There's that depth. There's that 8th player. Zeb had a really nice JV game.
He did.
Hit 21 points. And a big win for the Raiders over the Tigers. The Raiders have won, again, 3 straight games today. They dropped the freshman game, the first game here, but since rattled off 3 games in a row, winning both JV girls and JV boys. There's a little bit of a sell there by Braden Mountain, but they've been calling them.
Yeah, I think he extended his arm just a hair.
So how many charges Braden Mountain's taken this season. It's been quite a bit as Jace Watching returns to the lineup for Versailles. And Sporchers walks it up across the Raider logo. Cordonier on the exchange to Quinter to Schultz to Monin. And inside Cordonier, Zeb Schultz going to fire a 3 off the iron, no good. Monin gets the rebound, the stick back though, and the Raiders lead back to 30. Watching with it. 48 seconds in the third. As he goes over to Wilker. Also Blake Monin in the lineup, a freshman. As Hayden Quinter with another steal gets tipped out. And stay with the Raiders. Benjamin York back in the lineup for Rushi. Jackson Grogin in for Rushi and James Schmidtmeyer back in for Versailles. Versailles roster, a couple seniors, AJ Greystone, Carson Heitkamp, and Gabe White. So only 3 seniors on each side. Schmidtmeyer gets the swipe up to White. It's tipped around over to Watchman. Another steal by Hayden Quinter. Pirouettes his way in the lane to the basket. Shot is no good, but a foul by Schmidtmeyer on the other end. Hayden Quinter will shoot 2 free throws. And his first shot is in. So Schultz back in the lineup. Quinter splits the pair from the line, but it went off of White and stay here. I feel like it's a relief to say Hayden Quinter hits free throws. Every time I see him at the free throw line, I always get brought back to that regional final game last year against Jackson where he couldn't hit one to save his life. You could just say he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah.
But
and you have your struggles.
Shot short by Vince Borchers. Tigers bring up the floor. Schmidtmeyer with it. Over to Watchrin. 5 seconds left. Watchrin at the horn. No good. Borchers the rebound. 3/4 court shot. Off the iron. Just a little bit off on the trajectory. But the Raiders head into the 4th quarter of play with a 52-21 lead over Versailles. We'll step aside, come back with the 4th quarter of action next in your home for Rush Raider basketball on K-Toko Sports.
Are you looking for a rewarding career? Lincoln Electric Automation in Coldwater and Fort Loramie supplies top-of-the-line automation systems to manufacturers. Lincoln Electric Automation routinely develops its team through hiring and by offering advanced technical training. We understand that every employee matters, and every role contributes to the success of our business. We offer advancement opportunities, competitive wages, and benefit packages. Visit LincolnElectric.com and get on track to a better career and a better future.
Beginning of the 4th quarter here at Rushi High School. It's a 52-21 Raider lead over the Versailles Tigers. And in the quarter, the Raiders outscored the Tigers 7-8. And Rushi not back in action until Friday as Quinter nails a three. And if you're Rushi, do you play your starters a lot this quarter? Because you don't play again until Friday against Ann. This is the only game you had all week outside your Tuesday game against Houston.
I think you got to get to 4 minutes.
As Quinter drills a three, shot no good. Rebound Francis. Quinter in backcourt. And he's fouled by Schmidtmeyer trying to go for the ball. And that'll be Schmidtmeyer's third foul. First team foul of the quarter. Again, only 2 more home games left in this gym. That'll be Friday. We're not back in this gym until February 9th against Botkins. And then February 16th will be, is February 16th going to be senior night?
Yes.
They switched that. I know they switched the games up. Nice feed into Francis on the inside, but he's blocked. Blake Monin, a freshman in the lineup, down with the board.
You're going to see me for senior night, Brandon.
Oh, man. There's that layup there. Good by the Tigers in transition there. Shot no good. Goes off of Schmidtmeyer. They're going to get to Versailles. Substitutions in the lineup. 55-23 ball game here. 6:50 to go. Brandon Coverman, Tommy Hammonds giving you the action. Watchern with it over on Schmidtmeyer to Heitkamp. And White's layup rolls out. Schmidtmeyer gets the board though. Tough break for Versailles as the ball's kicked out. It's really when you have this lead and you're so dominant as the Raiders are this year. If you're Coach Gradon, how do you keep competitive?
Oh boy, sometimes it's tough, and in games like this, you use the backyard rival as your fuel. In other games, you talk about working on things and playing with, stay. What do they say? Stay
focused?
No, what's their shirt say? It's something, stay humble, stay something, I forget what it is. It's stay something, stay humble. And, they preach that, and these kids buy into it. So they believe it. They come out and play as hard as they can, and they've had games that weren't so, they just didn't play well. But you have that. You have nights like that, and they figure it out.
Here's working around the arc. Monin's three, well off the mark, and Raiders had that hot shooting first half. They're good. They're a solid three-point shooting team. I wouldn't say they're maybe the best. I don't think they're as good as Botkins as a three-point shooting team, but they hit 6 threes in the first half, and they kind of cooled off from beyond the arc. Here in
and you do get
half.
Tired.
Yeah.
And when you're shooting that shot, you may have been at a point you need a break.
Barnes with the basketball. Barnes gives it up over to Watron.
Or they're overplaying you and you take what they give you. So if they're overplaying you at the three-point line now, you got to get dribble penetration and get to the hole.
Shot up and in.
Versailles has done a great job this half of getting to the hole.
We got a timeout by Coach Travis Slink. We'll take it with him. 5:03 to go. Rushi ahead 57-25 here on Coach Tokyo Sports.
New Knoxville Supply Company, the supply source for residential, commercial, and industrial jobs. We specialize in plumbing products from many name brands, electrical products from replacing a light switch to rewiring an entire house, heating, air conditioning, and geothermal products, sheet metal ductwork, installations, and service. We are now housing more inventory, so all the hardware items you need to complete the job are available right away. New Knoxville Supply. Stop in, call, or check us out online at newknoxvillesupply.com.
Out the precision strip timeout. It's a 57-25 lead for Rushi over Versailles. The Raiders with the basketball. Monin on the inside. Raiders swing it around. Give it up to York. It can't finish at the basket. Raiders up by 32 here. Capping off our great day of basketball here that we've had with our backyard rivals Versailles. Monin with the basketball and tipped by Benjamin York. Here we could see it dunk, but it's blocked from behind by White, and he slaps some skin. And will send Benjamin York to the line. And hasn't been much of a dunk show for the Raiders the past few games. You know, they get games like that where they can get in kind of a cycle of getting a lot of dunks. They didn't have one against Houston the other night, but like we said, 4 dunks in the junior varsity contest.
I think you get to games that the opponent's not going to let you. They're going to foul you before they get there. They're just not going to let it happen.
York cans the first free throw.
Where if you're at Miami East last Saturday night, there was 1 good one and 2 misses, I think.
Who had the dunk last Saturday?
I believe Felix.
And York splits the pair from the line. Here comes Arns. And can't finish. Groging with the rebound. Borges tried to thread the needle. Gabe White's played a nice fourth quarter for Versailles. White, the southpaw, gives it up to Drake Arns, another lefty. 2 lefties in one lane. Don't see that very often. And Drake Arns makes a nice move to the basket. Timeout. Again, all timeouts brought to you by Precision Strip. We'll take it with them. 3:48 to go. Russia had 58-27 of Versailles on Kotoko Sports.
Together, we are family, working safely for our loved ones.
We are problem solvers who challenge the status quo and drive improvement.
We care about our customer relationships.
We stay true to our values, caring and respecting one another.
We embrace change as we journey through our career.
We are Precision Strip, the world's leading processor of rolled steel and aluminum.
Precision Strip, doing the exceptional.
58-27, Russia ahead of Versailles here on NK Telco Sports as Raiders will march on to 16-0 for the first time since 2007. The Raiders have flexed their muscle as they've talked about their #1 ranking in the state poll that they've held for back-to-back weeks. The foul, Braden Monin, I think, did that intentionally to get some subs in. Zeb Borchers and Landon Plyman will check in, and Michael Grease up. As the Raider faithful on their feet. Subs in, let's recognize these subs for Versailles. Number 4, Carson Bergman. Number 13, that's Tony Mormon. 33, Jack Borchers. Tigers go to the basket. Rebound cleared by Zeb Borchers. Got some of these guys too, when Landon Monin in the lineup. 5 juniors on the floor. They'll all play on the JV squad, which is a solid JV squad, but people say you got a lot of talent returning next year. I mean, you take a look at the roster up and down for Russia. I mean, we're going to lose Felix Francis, Hayden Quinn, or Braden Monin. 3 very talented players, you know, and that's going to be very hard to replace. But these 5 on the floor right now, very capable of filling in those roles, and Dominic Francis ain't even on the floor.
Absolutely. You know, they're going to lose 3 huge key players to the roster. However, these kids have had a lot of time on the JV team, and, you know, they've had some really good games. And they went through a couple of spurts where they were not so good, and that happens. But they played exceptional tonight, I felt like.
Raiders cracked the 60-point mark. 60-27 our score. White trying to back down Schultze in the lane. Over to Mormon. And tries to kick it out to the left side. To Blake Morin. back to Micah Greasup. Around the arc. Norman to White. White will fire a 3, and he drills it. Good White, nice fourth quarter for him. He's got 7. He only averages 1.7 points a game. The ball turned right back over. Norman with a jump shot in the lane, and it's no good. Borchers clears it. We got a, now they're bringing in another sub. It's going to be Marcus Briscoe. Also Cam Arns. This is a very young Versailles roster. We lose AJ Greaves going to graduation, lose Gabe White, lose Carson Heitkamp, but Versailles right now will drop to 7 and 8. But a lot of excitement there. Versailles have a really good freshman team. They have a solid JV roster, so a lot to look forward to for Versailles in years coming. As they always have a very good team. Shot goes in and out for Schultze, yard the line for 2. Simon Hess will come into the lineup here in the second for Versailles. So the Raiders will get a win in their last game in the Claire Cinevo Gymnasium against Versailles. Schultze trying to add to the lead. He splits from the line. Tigers out of control there. Let's turn it back over.
The last 3 minutes of this game has been a little stale, and we're just all kind of ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
But the other parts was really exciting. You know, you saw the Raider fans really getting into it. The high school students in addition to the elementary students. So that's what these games are all about, and being in these small communities.
Reese up over to Borchers. Borchers looks to drive on the inside. Borchers goes back over to Zeb Schultze, who attacks downhill, kicks it to the corner. Landon Plyman, high arcing 3, in and out. Rebound Micah Greasup. Greasup shot's no good as Bergman clears the boards. Carson Bergman over to Simon Hess. Hess loses the ball downhill, but it's bailed out. And as it touches the Raider. Substitution for Versailles. I have a number here. Briscoe shot is good. Marcus Briscoe with the bucket. See, the Raiders just probably run off the last 30 seconds of clock here. As the Raiders will march on to 16-0 here with a win over their backyard rival Versailles. Here with a dominant showing in the first half. Helps guide them to a victory here tonight over the Tigers, 61-32. Again, you caught it here live on NK Toko Sports. (61-32) as we'd like to thank our sponsors here, because without them we'd not be able to bring you boys high school basketball here on NK Toko Sports. Our sponsors are Carriage Works, Chiltex LLC, Cy Schwiedeman Dickman Supply, Elwood Assisted Care, Hometown Opportunity, Hulsman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Lincoln Electric, the Minster Bank, Knoxville Supply, SecureCom, Bud's Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Crown Equipment, Shelby County Veteran Services, St. Henry Bank, and WCSN Radio. School board sponsors, the First National Bank, Keys to the Game, Keyhole Pizza. Timeout sponsors, Precision Strip. Our player of the game is brought to you by Telco. Our mid and post game stats are brought to you by Green Health Systems. And our Rushi Live View sponsor, as you see on your screen, is the Superior Aluminum. Let's take a look at those stats brought to you by our sponsors at Grand Lake Health Systems. And with those numbers, Tanya Hammonds.
Thanks, Brandon. Unofficially for the Tigers, I have them with 18 rebounds and 10 turnovers. And for the Raiders, I have them with 17 rebounds and 7 turnovers.
And taking a look really at the box score here overall, and scoring for Russia had 7 from Jackson Grosjean and Felix Francis. Hayden Quinter with 10. From Braden Monty, they got 10 as well. 1 from Seb Schultze, 2 from Vince Porchers. 10 from Benjamin York, and they got from Braylon Cardonier, they have 12, and also 2 from Michael Griesa. For Versailles, from AJ Griesland, they got 7, 2 from Ethan Roker, 4 from Drake Lawrence, 5 from Jace Watson, 2 by Marcus Briscoe, 7 from Jay White, and 4 from Carson Heitkamp. Before we leave here tonight, we'd like to name our player of the game, brought to you by our sponsors at Linkade Selco, and that player of the game is going to go to
tonight. It's going to be Braden Monin. He had just a nice, easy game. He plays super hard on defense. He created some turnovers for the Tigers and finished with double digits. So it's Braden Monin for the night, Brandon.
And the Versailles Tigers will drop to 7-8. And they'll be on the road Friday. They'll be up at the Palace in Coldwater against the league-leading Coldwater Cavaliers. And in the MAC, and they're in a tight race with Delphus St. John's as Russia advances to 16-0. They'll be on the road in the hangar against Anna, or on Launchpad, I should say. The hangar is Fairlawn. Launchpad is Anna, which is one of the best home court advantages in really all the area. So the Raiders are going to have a stiff test Friday with an Anna team that was scrappier with them the first time.
Yes.
Raiders beat them by 20, but I felt like that score wasn't very indicative of how close Anna played that. You and I called that game. It was about a 10-point game most of the time. So.
That was one of the first teams to really start playing a zone against the Raiders, and they broke it open and could maintain it. But they play physical. Nate Barhorse has them ready. He'll have a game plan to go, and it'll be a fantastic game. So if you can't make it, please find a way to tune into someone.
So that'll do it for us here tonight. We'd like to thank our crew. For Austin Manberg back in the station. For Tanya Hammonds, I'm Brandon Coverman. For the final time here tonight, the Russia Raiders defeat the Versailles Tigers 61-32. We'd like to thank you for watching this production of Boys High School Basketball on Linkade Selco Sports.